Well, a bit of a blizzard blew in. It's pretty blustery outside. Yesterday was a perfect calm day for ice fishing. Today is a great day for ice fishing fixing. Since we have the opportunity, let's see what happens if we light it without the tile. Oh boy, maybe help it along here. Please don't blow me up. Coming out of the plenum as it's supposed to, it's rolling around down. You can see the flames there. Let's just light it right up, see what happens. Oh boy. Okay, we're gonna turn it off. Well, that went better than expected. Alright, let's go fix this thing. I see quite often on fishing forums guys asking about where to get the tiles, but I haven't really come across a video of how to take apart the unit, disassemble it, and replace the tile itself, so I thought we'd make one for you here. So the first thing first is getting the parts. You can get the replacement burner tile. The other required piece is the burner gasket. It's basically just a felt gasket that seals the plenum against the catalytic plate. Both these items can be purchased from a company called Lioncove in Canada, and sorry for US watchers, I'm not sure what company, but I will find that. I'll put it in the description of the video for you. The burner tile was about $22. The gasket was about $6, so not bad. The problem is for me, the shipping was $24, so it doubled the price of this thing. But still, for a $50 fix on a unit like this, you're still, ahead of the game. So the first step is just to take off the wire guard, and that's just done by popping the wires up and out. So the only tool you need for the whole disassembly and reassembly is a Phillips screwdriver. So the second piece that you need to remove is the back fan cover. Essentially it is done by removing these 4 screws on the back and then pushing the fan cover upwards, as there's 2 D-dents up here that attaches it to the handle. You can kind of see them between the cracks here. And basically it just clamps down in there, so as you put forward momentum up, they pop off of those D-dents. Once the screws are out, you can see that the cover is loose. So you can just grab the front little grill here and pop up. There's one of the D-dents. There's 2. And away it comes. Now that you have the back cover off, you want to remove the heat shields by removing these 4 sheet metal screws. Concurrently, you need to remove this lower heat shield by removing these 2 sheet metal screws as well. You can start to see the plenums inside now. So you're taking the 4 screws out of that top heat shield so they can slide down, in order to reveal these 2 hidden screws, one there and one there, which are integral of this front black reflector. The reason you got to remove this reflector is so you have access to these 2 plenum assembly brackets. Essentially they hold the tiles in place, so when you remove them and lift them, then you can insert a new tile. You can see with the top 2 loose, the whole mechanism's coming forward, but there's 2 more screws underneath here, and I'll show you how to get to that. So if you flip the unit over, there's sort of this safety grate that covers up the thermocoupler. It's just removed by taking out these 2 screws, which then gives you access to the bottom 2 reflector bolts. Right, so to complete the removal of the reflector, you got to pull out these 2 screws that attach it to the front baffle, which I've already done. And then there's a screw right here that removes the bracket for the thermocoupler, as well as a screw right here and a screw right here that attaches the bottom bracket to the reflector. It's a friction fit type thing, so you just got to push on the plenum, front and bottom, and just slide it out of the way. Right, now that we have the plenum bracket assembly exposed, all we really need to do now is just remove this top bracket by removing these 2 screws. Alright, so that plenum bracket assembly is coming right off. Just gotta be careful I don't knock this other tile loose. See, it's actually chipped up a little bit too, but I think it's no worse for wear, it'll work. So I was always kind of curious how these heaters actually work. So now that I have it disassembled, I'll kind of show you some highlights. So first off, on the supply lines here for the fuel, the propane, they go into this sort of mixing area here of the plenum, of course. That's where the oxygen would mix with the propane and go up into the burning tube, hitting the top of the plenum, and then tumbling back down because of this baffle. Of course, then it forces the flame, as you could see in our test fire, this thing without the tile, that it comes down and out. It rolls down and out. And of course, then it's going to work its way through the tile itself. The tile serves two purposes. One, they get obviously red hot, as you can see. But the other thing is, if you look really closely, you can see that they're very porous. There's, I don't know, probably 100,000 holes in this thing. And that's, of course, to have the exhaust escape out of the heater itself. I'm just going to work at removing this old burner tile gasket. Like I said, it's just felt, so it'll come off quite easily. I'm just going to use a flat screwdriver to work it through. I'm hoping this ain't asbestos, but I don't think from the feel of this that there's any kind of adhesive. You probably could use like a fireplace gasket adhesive, I guess, if you really wanted to, but I think it's just meant to sit in there free. So, gotten the majority of it out here. It's good enough. Now we're just going to replace the gasket. Alright, so the gasket's in place. In order to get this tile, which is a pretty tight fit to get in there, we're actually going to just not remove, but loosen up the bottom of the plenum bracket. So you can loosen that bottom bracket, which is slotted for this very purpose, by loosening up this screw and this screw on the bottom of the burner. It's a little half turn, 3/4 turn, 1 turn, just enough to loosen up the sheet metal. You can see it's loose now, and that's what we're looking for. Right, now we should have enough give to get that burner tile in place. Again, you want to have the raised portion, raised surface up, and the smooth part down towards the plenum. There we go, snapped in place. Now we just have to replace the upper bracket, put everything back together, and she should fire right up. Well, there we go, we got it back together and only have 2 extra screws, so that's pretty good. Let's do a test fire here. Kind of in a precarious spot here to lose a few nose hairs, but we'll see. Okay, pilot's going. Set to low. Away she goes. That one high. Both burners are working. Right on, just that easy.